now rocking with TDF everything. Spoiled rotten.
Spoiler alert.
Welcome and welcome back, everybody.
Hey.
It's me, Daniel,
And this is Ben.
on Spoiled Rotten. And today, we're doing something special. We are going to definitely do a big, in-depth spoiler review of Venom: The Last Dance. And we're also going to do a spoiler review for the HBO series, The Penguin.
And we're going to lie directly to your face.
Yeah. I was trying to avoid eye contact with the camera. Yeah. All right, Venom 3. So, right off the bat, I guess we should say what the movie is. I mean, people have probably seen it by now, but obviously, Ben, you were on an amazing trip. I appreciate that you came back for Agatha, but I don't think Venom required the same amount of commitment on your
I'm
part.
very, very glad we didn't prioritize that, because I would have been like trying to navigate in China how to watch Venom 3, which is just the logistics of China is just nuts. But the ability to be like, oh my God, this was not worth my time.
No. Yeah, the movie is wow, I haven't seen it since the day it came out. So Venom, he's like, oh shit, Null's awake and he's coming. He sent his like monsters to kill us. And you find out that specifically if a symbiote brought back their host to life, like Venom did in the first movie, I guess. I don't really remember the movies.
Was it the first or second?
It
I can't
matter
remember.
to me.
Yeah,
but yeah, he did.
Right.
They show you the clip in the movie when he does it. He brings him back to life. He now has the Codex, and that is what's going to free Null. So they have this conceit where it's like Venom can't change into full Venom, which you would think would mean like, oh, so he'll still do the thing where he can pop out, which he says he can do, and you can fully embrace the fun of having the two of them talk to each other.
But no,
they don't really do that, and he just changes whenever he wants, especially that stupid dance scene. I like the character Mrs. Chen, but I was just like, why would he dance with her like this? Like he could she knows what the deal is. He could just be like, this will get us killed if I change into Venom and dance with you. And she'd be like, okay. Because he could still talk to her, she could do whatever she needs to do. So it was just like, oh, they really were like, I don't know, man. We just gotta get things going here.
I feel like that whole dance scene was there just because I'm like, they were like, we gotta have a dance scene. That we're titling the movie "The Last Dance."
But it was like, why have the thing where he can't change then?
No,
it's just been like he was dancing with her, and they caught up to them because he took the time to dance with her. Not like we've already set the rules of why he can't change. It is not a situation where he couldn't just explain why he's not going to change. He just does it, and you're like, oh, all right, whatever.
It's weird because it makes it seem like Venom, as the symbiote, has a better relationship with Mrs. Chen than Eddie does, which they're always constant. And I like that this movie goes like right off the get that the whole "we are Venom" thing is out of sync, so they're kind of out of sync and they have to get back in sync, which is weird because I'm like, you all spent the last movie getting in sync too. What's going on here? Why is there so much of this strife happening without real explanation?
Yeah, I was like, Eddie's really mean to Venom for no real reason.
Yeah,
my memory of it was like, didn't they solve all this in the second one? Like they broke up and got back together. Why is he still being so shitty?
Yep. And they could have written something like, oh yeah, because we are in the 616 universe, then like I'm out of alignment.
To stay away from that. That was so weird what they tried to do with all the like,
dumb.
Oh shit, yeah, like don't worry, we're not in that Spider-Man universe anymore. We're in this universe, so let's do it again. The whole leaving Venom behind in a bar. And I know people clocked it in the first trailer, but it was just like, why would like, what are we doing here? What a waste of everyone's time. Anyway, that's the movie. They end up in a base under Area 51, which is luckily dumping an acid on things to get rid of everything, because that's how the movie is resolved. They just acid the bad guys. You really think Juno Temple's going to be like a big symbiote presence, but she literally doesn't do anything until the last possible second. It's just some nameless tech person. Not that she doesn't have a lot of screen time, but I don't really feel like they give her a name. She's like, I feel like she's like Christmas or something. Like they make a joke about how much she likes Christmas.
Yeah.
She seems to be more of a symbiote presence. This all
Yes.
sounds weird out of context, but trust me, it doesn't matter if you've seen the movie.
Yeah,
Like,
within context, it still sounds weird because you're just like, well, why is this? Why, if it's the last one, why is Michelle Williams not back for this in any, like, even a cameo
no,
capacity?
they're not mentioned, or maybe she is mentioned. I don't remember. It doesn't matter. Like,
She's mentioned for
her
sure.
and her husband needed to come back. I really like how
Yep.
they interact with Eddie.
Yeah, and I like it. I like the husband. He's a fun character that's just like not trying to do toxic things. He's like a Pierce
He's just
Brosnan.
a good person.
Yeah, he's like Pierce
just-
Brosnan and Mrs. Doubtfire in the sense where you're like, as a kid, you're like, I hate this guy, but as an
I mean,
adult,
he's
you're like, wait,
better
why
than
do I
Pierce
hate
Brosnan
this guy?
because the movie recognizes he's not a shit person. Like,
Yes,
and they're all adults, so it's even better to just be like, no, he's not a bad person.
Yeah.
This is who she should be with. Like, like
100%.
Eddie sucks. So anyway, yeah, I knew they weren't coming, so that wasn't a big deal for me. I was just like, oh, like, is there gonna be a reason why, like, Reese Ifans is in this when he was in Amazing Spider-Man and just recently No Way Home? I'm pretty sure the same movie where we saw Tom Hardy become a part of that universe. And is there gonna be a reason why Chiwetel Ejiofor is in this, even though he's Baron Mordo? And I was like, no.
No,
Whereas
literally
they
no
just-
reason.
It's just Tom Hardy likes to act with those people, I'm assuming, I hope, and it does
Maybe.
not matter what they've done in the past.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't remember what Tyrese's fate from the first one was, but I'm like, wouldn't
Well,
it
he's
have been
not in
nice?
He's in
Yeah, I
Morbius.
know. That's why I was like, wasn't he in the first Venom?
No.
Oh man, I'm completely forgetting the first Venom. Either way,
Yeah.
the whole idea of like, okay, if they're gonna have that, I just don't know what they're doing here.
It's just the end. It's the end of their contract. They were very clear, like, meh, whatever, man. This is the end of the
Yep.
contract.
We got a
had to
trilogy,
make 3
that's it.
movies. That's that. I can't believe we even got to number 2. So, yeah, I think
I'm with you on that. I can't believe this got made. Like, I this year alone in our podcasting episodes and all that kind of stuff, I understand how Madam Web got made. I understand why it fell apart the way it did. I've watched it so many times, including on the flight back and to
mhm.
Asia. But I watched this movie and I'm like, how did this actually get made?
Well, it's the biggest moneymaker of all their, like, spiteful Sony movies.
I okay, that makes more sense. Then.
Like, yeah.
If it's purely
not that big of
financial.
a mystery, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't really have much for this movie. Like, it's not just that I haven't seen it since the
Mhm.
first day it came out. It's more just like I just kind of watched and I was like, yeah, okay, it's
So,
done. Good.
I watched it recently, like last week, and I still was under a little bit of jet lag. I was convinced that I fell asleep halfway through
Mhm.
and then woke up and it didn't make sense. But then I watched recaps online. I'm like, oh, I stayed awake the entire time. It just did not make sense. Like,
It's
it was
weird because it's
so-
written by and directed by the same woman who has written all 3 of them.
right.
So, like, I guess the second one just isn't good either, so it doesn't really matter.
You
I-
convinced
I-
me heavily that the second one wasn't good because I was more just taken aback by the glamour of having Carnage there and like some elements of like, oh, this is similar to Maximum Carnage. But then when we did the podcast, I'm like, yeah, I got cheated out of Maximum Carnage. That's what happened there.
It's just not good. And then, yeah, I say that as someone who doesn't feel like, oh, it's the worst thing I've ever seen. It's just, I don't care. It's not. It was funny in points and not funny on purpose. Just like, oh, that's weird that they would do that. But this is, to me, not a huge drop off from that. Like, it is a drop off, but it's not a huge drop off. I'm just like, yeah, whatever. Like, this is in the ballpark of what they were doing. Yeah, I just really didn't. So many character choices where I'm like, why is this happening? Like, the Juno Temple character. Sorry, I don't remember anyone's character names.
Mhm.
Juno Temple's character is like, yeah, my brother got hit by lightning and died, so then I'll become a scientist. I'm like, I guess that happened young enough for that to be a thing for you, but it's such a big commitment for someone who wasn't like on that trajectory.
Mhm.
The family being like, we want to see aliens at Area 51, and then like me being like, no good can come of this, and it just felt awkward how how much danger Reese Ifans put his family in.
Yeah.
And like then the movie starts to take it seriously and be like, yeah, like they're really. I'm like, I know, I knew that from the beginning. Why are we even going through this? They should have left. Like, I'm happy that they came back to save Eddie, but it was just like, I just want them to be out of here. Like,
Yeah.
this is just, and not in like it's boring to see them. Just like it's too stressful to watch these people who literally have no like powers and can't really affect the situation,
Right.
be in this situation in very dangerous moments. It's like, this isn't fun for me, or like I already got the sense like, well, either Venom or Eddie are gonna die in
Yeah.
this, so I don't like, we don't need to up the stakes with this family.
Hmm. I feel like
Um,
that's the whole point of that family. It was like kind of how like in Justice League they had that like one
yeah,
inexplicable
but you
family
already
toward
had
the
the thing
end,
of like
which is
Eddie being
not a
able
good
to
decision.
connect with the boy, and
Yeah. Like none of it
yeah,
was a
just,
good decision. Like the whole like
I didn't need them to be part of the danger at the end. It just made them annoying that they went there, and then made me stressed out that they were like in danger.
oh, it was heavily annoying that they even put Reese Ifans in here and being like, no, it's not related to anything. It's just we're just want to give him a paycheck and just tease y'all a little bit, all you big nerds being like, oh, maybe this is like a lizard. Like after this, nope, it's just some dude named Martin.
Yeah,
That's it.
it's nothing.
That is, and I do like the fact that the family was very, very adamant. They're like, no, we're doing this for Dad.
Yeah.
We're doing it for him. And
This
like
is the
it
thing.
makes
That's
no
why
sense.
it made it more stressful, because it wasn't like they're all gung ho. They were actively saying ahead of time, like, we don't really want to be doing this.
Yeah, and like it would have made sense to me if it was like, oh, okay, there's a beat in there that he's been diagnosed with some sort of terminal illness, and this is his last wish, and everyone's like, okay, yeah. There was no sense in
No,
that
it's
whatsoever.
just Area 51's ending,
Yeah, it's
so
just
they
like
have to go. Like,
exactly.
like as if it was going to be wiped off the map if they didn't go right before it closed.
Yeah, and it's just like, okay, if they're closing it down, what makes you think you're going to see alien related stuff that you haven't already seen through news
Mhm.
broadcasts with the symbiotes and like all
Like,
the
you could have
attacks
gone
and all.
before.
Yeah,
Anyway.
it's just it makes no sense to me, and I love the fact that they're like, "Hey, the real Area 51, Area 55 is beneath it. They'll never suspect this." And I'm like, "Oh my
Well, they didn't.
God,
No one did.
no one did." But it was
So here's the
pointless.
thing. Also, early on in the movie, they're like, "Oh shit! Like, we can't go back to San Francisco or wherever the fuck they're from,
Yeah,
and let's go to New York." I'm like, "Oh, okay, like Venom in New York, that's good."
Yeah.
Then they're like, "Nope, those two will not make it. Eddie will, but Venom will be dead by then." So, just and then we're gonna do a dumb Maroon 5 led montage.
that Maroon
It's like,
5
oh,
montage
no,
was
stop
by
it.
far the worst thing. Like they couldn't have just been so much more off the vibes that were there. It's like, oh, okay,
The
even
song
if
did not fit at all, and
no, it didn't.
like that's not me being like I would like that song in any other movie, but it just doesn't fit this movie's vibe at all.
Yeah, because okay, there are times where it's like the Fast and the Furious song, like the Long Day, whatever
Yeah.
song. I'm like, okay, it fits the vibe. I don't love the song, but it fits the vibe. This is just like, what are you? Who's
It
in
would be
charge
one
of
thing if
this?
they made the song for the movie, like in
Yes.
Fast and Furious, to end it. Like, that's, I guess, part of it is nothing feels like they wanted to send this off properly.
No, they were just like, we
even down
wanted
to
the
like, I don't know,
contracts
what's that
done.
Maroon 5 song that
Memories?
no, I'm not asking in good faith. It's a joke.
okay.
Like, just like, yeah, we'll just put in that Maroon 5 song.
Yeah,
It doesn't matter. And yeah, the whole symbiote thing and the Chiwetel Ejiofor thing, they kept alluding to someone he was talking to in the shadows. I'm like, oh, that's going to be a cool reveal later. And then, nope, doesn't matter. And he's just some guy.
There are theories out there as to who that might be, and I'm like, please don't let that be true. There a lot of people think it's Mr. Negative.
Oh no!
And I'm like, please don't do that, because if I'm
not.
correct here, I do remember reading something like Sony, if they use a character from the Spider-Man Rogues, that Marvel can't use it.
Yeah.
So if they do the Mr. Negative thing, then I'm like, oh, please don't. That means like what I'm hoping to be the main villain of Spider-Man 4.
You don't have to worry because these movies are done, so it doesn't matter because he wasn't on screen and he wasn't mentioned, so it wouldn't matter. Even if they said that's Mr. Negative, it doesn't matter because he wasn't on screen really, and he was never named as such. But that's not how Mr. Negative works.
Listen, I
Uh,
genuinely hope you're right. I
yeah,
genuinely hope you're right. I just
but yeah, like just that was
don't
weird.
know. Hmm.
I know people got upset that he kept being like, "Let's bring out the six," and it was just more army guys, and it was like,
Yeah, it wasn't
at
even
that
the
point, I
symbiote.
didn't care. I don't care.
I was like, ooh, are they gonna do the Sinister Six here? All right, and not like actual excitement of like, oh my God, they're gonna do the Sinister Six here was the energy that I had.
Mm.
Or like the Symbiote Six. That would make sense in this movie. No, just military dudes
No, it
that
was just
just
more
died
like they
instantly.
you already saw military guys, and then it was just more military guys. You're
Yeah.
like, oh, okay. Um, but by that point in the movie, I was like, I don't care. It doesn't matter. I just they don't care, and I don't care.
Yeah.
Then there was like uh this this is on me. This isn't the movie's fault.
Mhm.
Everyone kept saying who was going to play Null, and I was like, that would be interesting, like in a kind of redemption arc of if it was Topher Grace. But then they were like, but it was just what's his face, Andy Serkis.
It was Circus again. I heard that it was gonna be freaking Norman Reedus.
Yeah, but I don't care if it's him because he's not connected. Topher Grace, it would be cool because he was like the first Venom we saw, and then it'd be
Yes.
a nice like redemption arc.
Yeah.
But yes, like I know a lot of people wanted it to be Norman Reedus, but that was of no interest to me because I'm like, he doesn't really have anything to do with this. That's
Yeah.
just a fan cast. Whereas,
It's just a fan cast to be like, oh yeah, he's got long hair already.
yeah, versus like, oh,
There's no
like,
other reason.
let Topher Grace do something with a popular character now,
Right.
and like give him some kind of Andrew Garfield esque redemption. Even though Andrew Garfield just played the same character again, but
Yep.
I feel like people get what I mean.
Mhm.
No. And again,
No.
that wouldn't have made the movie better. Like, given what Null does in the movie, I wouldn't have been like, ah, there we go. It just was like, oh, that would have been like, it would have felt like they tried something to make this somewhat of an event,
Mhm.
given that it's the last Venom movie. But
By the
well,
way,
at
the
least
whole Null thing was just what? It's a whole lot of teasing over like it makes me feel like they're gonna do more movies like this, and they're gonna do Null getting out of there, and I'm like,
well, it's Sony.
please
They're gonna keep
don't.
doing, but like this iteration's done. Like they're not
Yes,
getting Tom Hardy back for anything, so it doesn't like.
I
Yeah,
hope so.
they're going to keep doing it because they want to keep the rights.
Right.
You're right about that, but I don't think that means they're going to like they're on their
Bring back-
third version
yeah.
of Spider-Man. They're not going to be upset about doing a second version of Venom.
Right. I think if the grand scheme for Sony is to do like, oh, the Sinister Six are gonna fight Null, I'm like, this lineup really with Madam
I feel
Web
like
in
you're
it?
very committed to Null without realizing that it doesn't matter.
I-
They're probably never touching that again
I
in any
doubt
meaningful
that's
way.
true. There's been a lot
Like,
of
look
like,
what they did with Carnage. You think they keep these things precious?
no, but I do believe that they're gonna go somewhere with Null based on
It's not gonna be a
the
continuation.
interviews and it's not gonna make sense. We know that.
It's
That's
no,
a
it's not
given.
going to be a continuation though.
Right.
This is done. Whatever this is done.
Well, I hope you're right. I hope you're right because I have a sneaking suspicion that Sony's gonna keep Sonying.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, you're you're right that they're going to keep making movies. I don't think they think this worked, so they're going to do something different.
I again, I hope you're right. I want to believe that.
Believe that they care about money. You don't have to believe me. Believe that they care about money. This didn't do well.
No, it didn't do well. It did horribly. I don't know how bad it did, but it did not do well.
So they're not going to be like, oh, let's try it again. They're
Yeah.
just going to do something different. And that doesn't mean that I think you'll never see Null again. It's just not going to be a continuation of this.
Yeah, that's why I'm afraid that it's gonna be Sinister Six versus Null because I can see the people at Sony being like, "Hey, you know what really gets people in the theaters? A team up, and we're building the Sinister Six, baby." And then I'm just like, "Please don't do this. It's not a good idea." The best tease at the Sinister Six that they ever had was in Amazing Spider-Man 2. Like that like little thing. I'm like, that was the best tease that they've ever had. I'm not convinced that they're ever gonna do it right.
But this is what I'm saying. Like, you're citing instances where they tease things and never followed up on it. Like,
Yep.
I don't know what you're worried about.
I'm worried about
You
Sony.
already know the inform, but you're already giving a track record of them not following up on things.
Yeah,
Like that's
yeah.
all you've been doing is giving track records where they don't follow up on things.
No, you're right about that. You're definitely
So
right
like,
about that.
I don't know what you're worried about.
I'm just worried, man. I'm just worried that they're gonna need a cash grab, that they're gonna and we got Craven coming in a few weeks. I'm worried. I'm just worried.
Yeah, they're obviously working towards a Sinister Six. The null thing, I don't get why you think they think that's some kind of cool thing to explore.
I don't know. I don't
It's
know.
not.
It's just because they didn't do anything necessarily with Null, and Null was just like two scenes, and it was just
Yeah.
like, oh, he's bound to the chair, and like everyone won, yay! And we only fought his pets, but it's just like, and I will say another thing too about Null. It makes no sense to me that Null was held in that realm, but was able to send mutants or like his beings out there. Like it made no sense that he was sealed in, but he was able to send a message out. Like what kind of punishment is that? Makes no sense to me.
Doesn't matter. It
Doesn't,
really doesn't
yeah.
matter.
It's
I don't
stupid.
I don't care.
Stupid movie.
Yeah. It is
And by the
It's
way,
okay.
those post-credit scenes, I feel like they might do it with Juno Temple because of the
No.
post-credit scene.
She's not coming back, I promise you that.
I hope you're right.
So the one thing I liked about it was that they finally put a Tom Hardy rap song in it with him and Method Man, where they're rapping Null and Void. What's his name? Frankie Pulitzer. He doesn't go by Tom Hardy. He raps under the name of Frankie Pulitzer.
I have no clue. You were the one that turned me on to that, and I listened to it. I'm like, why am I actually really enjoying this right now?
Because he's a good rapper.
He's actually good.
He's not. I don't know if he's a good rapper. He's working with Wu-Tang Production, so like,
yes,
it's really, it hits our sweet spot as fans of hip hop of a certain age.
It's
so, like,
true.
Yeah, like
He
if you're
knows what
working
he's
with like
doing there,
Master
for sure.
Ace, Master Killer, like you're gonna have some good production, and then you're on a track with Method Man that will also be good. So
Yep.
that is a good thing. I just said everything that I don't care about, but in general, the movie was still like, you still get to have fun with Venom. Like they really just double down on like, yeah, this guy's an idiot, and so
Yep.
you can have fun with that. You can. I just was not into Eddie Brock in this movie for
Nope.
some reason. Just he was so weird. I did care that he could
Was
never have
weird.
shoes. I was like, oh yeah,
That was fun.
that
was
like,
fun.
oh, I guess it.
Yeah.
But the venom of it all, the actual symbiote, was still as fun as he has been, just not used the right way.
Mhm.
But I feel like he's still as fun as he has been in the other movies.
You're definitely right about that. It's been consistent. That is the one consistent thing throughout this whole franchise is like that element of them being together is actually genuinely fun, but nothing else is.
Okay, let's rate this. I don't think we need to belabor this. Do you have anything else you want to say?
Nope. I want to move on. I'm giving it a 4.
Yeah, I'm giving it a 4.5. I came in being like it's probably a 5, but no, it's a 4.5. All right, that was lovely. Let's talk about the Penguin.
Something that I actually really genuinely enjoyed. So yeah, that's good for our podcast listeners to be like, oh yeah, we just heard them shit all over Venom. Where else is it gonna go? This is gonna go to good places right now, talking about Penguin.
Or will it?
Oh, it definitely will. It definitely will. I loved this series. It was so good. Penguin was so well written. The Kristen Milioti was just Sophia Falcone was just incredible in this. I freaking loved it. And then poor Vic. Poor Vic.
So the show is set right after the events of Batman, the movie called The Batman, and not for whatever reason, Penguin gets really upset with Sophia's brother and kills him. He's kind of like, oh shit, I guess I shouldn't have done that. So while he's trying to sort that out and rid himself of any suspicion, Sophia comes out of Arkham, and we learn he actually put her there by ratting on her and making sure that everyone believes she was the hangman instead of her father, who we knew was the hangman based on the movie The Batman, and also just I guess trying to get in good with her dad.
Mhm.
Um, so the show is basically him constantly trying to broker deals with people so he can stay above water
Yep.
while everyone gets pissed at him except for Victor and tries to kill him, including his mom, who tried to kill him almost immediately, like as a kid,
Yeah.
because we find out this guy's a terrible person and he killed his brothers. I
That
don't
was
understand how
awful.
people feel like there's some kind of ambiguity there. Like they're like, well, he didn't know. Nah, that guy knew.
No, he
Like,
knew.
like, and the mom made a good point. It doesn't matter if he went down there to kill them. He was sitting there watching the clock and smiling when he could have been
Hmm.
like, oh yeah, well, my brothers are down there. So even if he didn't try to kill them, which I think he did try to kill them, he made it so that they died. Like
Yeah.
he did not give any help to get them out of there.
Yes, I completely agree. He originally did not intend to, but it doesn't matter because he had
I don't know
every
if that's true.
opportunity. Well, either way, it's just he had every opportunity to be like, "Hey, I actually locked up my brothers. We should kind of get them out the
Yeah,
water."
he
Right?
doesn't have to say I locked them up, but he could be like, you
Yeah,
know what? Yeah, we were playing down in the sewers. We should go get them.
yeah,
I think I like this and Agatha because they let the villain stay the villain,
yes.
and you can sympathize with them, you can empathize with them.
Mhm.
Probably more sympathize, but maybe some people can empathize. And they don't try to make it seem like, even though, as I said, we'd already did our Agatha episode where people thought, "Oh, she's not that bad," and as I said,
Oh
I've
God.
seen people be like, "Well, who knows about when he was a kid and he did that." He's like, they're both bad guys, and they
Yeah.
let them be bad guys. So then, what I appreciate is the performances and yeah, just how they unfold the story and really dig deep into these characters.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, it's I don't know about the sympathy empathy thing, but it's just the idea of like, hey, you see where they came from, and they consistently end up being shitty people. It's great.
Well, when I say sympathy, I feel like people understand what it's like to feel put upon and overlooked. That's kind of his thing, right? Like
Yes.
the, to the very end, where he doesn't understand that Sophia's mocking him when she says, "You're a man of the people," right? And he's like, "Yeah," like because he's so like you think that you think people don't want a shot, that you think people don't get tired of looking over, and it's like that's all she's been talking about all show. You just
Yeah.
think because she's comes from a certain family, she doesn't have that feeling.
Hmm.
Well, and forget that she's a woman, so
Hmm.
like she's already at a disadvantage. But I think that's what people can sympathize with is
Sure.
the idea that like they have felt overlooked, and that's why I said maybe not empathize. Like, well, yeah, I can see why you'd kill your like that's happened to me too. It's
Yeah.
it's just more. That's what I mean. Just more the sympathizing with feeling overlooked
Fair enough.
and being angry about it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, definitely that part is true, and I do like what in the beginning episodes where he and Victor like, and Victor's obviously dealing with a speech impediment, and he defends him and goes like, "Don't finish his words for him" and all that kind of stuff, and tells him to
Yeah,
stay.
the
I'm
restaurant
like,
scene is what made me really like Victor.
yes, it's really, really good stuff. And then like you see elements of like, oh, okay, he's cracks in his facade, so to speak, his whole grandiose kind of personality, where he's actually human, and then he just like, no, I'm a villain. He's gonna double down on that, and I'm a villain. I'm like, great, this is
Yeah, I think
great.
he's consistently a villain. I don't really think you ever see cracks. I think he values being able to control people. So
Yes.
it's what the guy he looked up to, is it Rex or something? I can't remember the guy's name, but like the guy that offers to kill him for his mom.
Yeah.
I should use proper names instead of pronouns. The guy who offers to kill Oz when his
Hmm.
mom finally comes clean, like I've got the devil in my house.
Yeah.
Uh, he says, yeah, there's the people that are in this for the money. It's like that's whatever. Like
Hmm.
they'll come and go, but it's the people who need a father figure. That's what you can really use, and I think that Oz just knows how to pick those people. Who's definitely Victor, and
Hmm.
so I don't think he was ever like nice to him. I think that I've seen other people say what I believe as well, which is even when he said, "Oh, I can't take you with me because you're going to be a weakness for me," I don't think that's true either. I think he's
Hmm.
just like, I'm not taking anyone. Like he would have noticed, oh, this guy got a bunch of people to turn on their bosses.
Hmm.
Nope, that guy's out too. Like he's
Yep.
no longer in need of a father figure. I've built him up, and now I got to take him down.
Yep. He-
And the only reason Eve can stick around is because he pays her. So there's
yes.
always that in the thing. Because I basically love all the times Sophia went around to the different pressure points on Oz, and
Hmm.
so yeah, like her conversation with the mom's amazing, but I loved the Eve conversation, just how she was like, "Oh no, like I have loyalty, so I just got money out of you. You think you paid someone to betray me, but we're all working together here."
Hmm.
And how she was like, "You're gonna kill me though, right? Because you're not the hangman." And I just like that she was able to play the situation as much as Sophia thought she was uncovering all these truths about Eve. That
Hmm.
Eve was able to snipe back with like, well, you don't want to be seen a certain way, so how's it going to look if you kill me?
Yep. Yeah. Eve is by far one of my favorite characters in this. She's so damn smart and just
It's just such a bummer because, like, basically the Penguins ruins everyone's life in this show,
yes.
and it's just like, oh fuck, like she's got to be there. And I did see someone point out that she probably was doing it the whole time. It's just the reveal that she acts as his mom was just like, what a shit life for her. Like I don't care that she gets paid for it and is like says she's fine with it, but just like what a fucking shit show this
Yeah.
is that you have to pretend to be his mom. Uh, it felt like the way that they revealed it, it was showing everybody's um basically punishment for being around Oz.
Hmm.
And so like there's the obvious thing like his mom where she said do not keep me as a vegetable, and he's like that's
Hmm.
exactly what I'll do, so
Yep.
you're fucked. uh Eve having to be uh in this circle of like being his mother figure.
Yep.
And then what I thought was good, because I really thought like, oh, he's gonna kill Sophia, but then when the lights showed up I was like, oh fuck, like this is way worse for her. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. He really twisted the knife here. What
Yep.
the fuck. Anyway, she gets sent to prison, or back to Arkham, I should say. So yeah, and obviously Victor, who had been his confidant this for the whole duration of the series,
Hmm.
um, was choked to death and had his ID thrown away, so he'd become nameless and
Hmm.
forgotten, like what he was worried about for his Crown Heights people.
Hmm.
So again, not only did he punish the person, but he twisted the knife and did that thing that takes away any type of happiness they had or like
Yeah.
hopes they had.
Yeah. He's just this black hole of just like he'll take everything from you,
Mm-hmm.
and make it even worse by adding insult on it. Yeah, like every single thing he did. Like that's why I was like, oh, I don't think he's gonna kill Sophia because I very well know that there's a fate worse than death in this.
Mm-hmm.
And that's to back to Arkham. So I'm like, okay, yeah, the editing behind that scene was truly incredible. To be like, okay, this is how it went down. The Victor thing was just like, oh my God, this is just absolutely the most brutal thing ever. And it's it's because of the deal that he made, right? He's gonna go to the Gotham like politics side of things, and he could
Mm-hmm.
potentially bring him down. But the idea of just like no, there's literally no loyalty to Penguin, and that's why I do like the Eve thing, where it's like, yeah, there's no loyalty here. This
No,
is
he pays
based,
her, so
yeah,
he gets what that's the business transaction.
yeah, it's 100% it. It's just God, I just can't believe what he did to his mom though. Like when you think like, okay, you can't go that low, he goes even lower by keeping her alive for his own ego. It's
Yeah.
nuts. It's
Or the
just
fact that he
absolutely nuts.
wouldn't like it was like I'm gonna cut her finger off, like you cut my brother's finger off.
Yeah.
So just admit that you killed your brothers. She knows it. I know it. You know it. Just
Mhm.
say it out loud. It's important for her to hear you say it. And
Yeah.
he still wouldn't do it.
He wouldn't do it.
I was just like,
What a low life.
yeah, it's just like, what a guy. Like, and again, I that wasn't me being like, what a shitty show. I was just like, good. I'm glad that they're making sure that you know he's the bad guy.
Yes. Yes. Every aspect of it was just, oh God, it's wild. This show was so well done.
Yeah, I I don't remember a lot of the early stuff, but I was in from the beginning. I feel like,
Hmm.
and just as I said, I really liked the restaurant scene with Victor where he's saying like, just let them wait for you, and how quickly that goes out the door when he's upset and needs something. And he's like, just say, get it out, spit it out, and you're like,
Mm.
you fucking asshole.
Yep.
Like, yeah, the Oz thing, especially the episode where Victor has a chance to leave with his girlfriend,
Hmm.
and then Oz makes him feel bad by being like, "Oh, you think I'm keeping you here? You think this is what it's like with me?"
Hmm.
And it's like, yeah, he's right. He had the right instincts, man.
Yes.
I mean, I think he was more like, "Well, I don't want to hurt his feelings if I leave." Victor was saying that to the girlfriend, but you still had the instinct to leave, which was a good which was a good instinct.
Yeah, this is one of these things. I mean, like this kind of personality type will keep you questioning reality. You'll have
Hmm.
moments of like clarity where you will be like, "Oh yeah, I want to leave." You get up, all that kind of stuff, and then there's all the mind games that he's so good at playing,
Hmm.
where he hooks you and gets you come back, and then rewards you with the biggest punishment you've ever known. Like this is why it's just like every insecurity that every one of these characters have has communicated to him, every vulnerable thing, he just goes straight for as the ultimate punishment. Which
Hmm.
is why I'm like, this is just the wildest display of like narcissism I've ever seen in a show. And I'm like, this is crazy. It's just absolutely wild. I don't know how anyone could possibly think that he's a good person. And
I mean, to be fair,
Mhm.
I'm not saying anyone thinks he's a good person. I think they
Right.
think he wasn't as bad in the scenes in the flashback scenes we seen with his brother. Where I'm like, no, they're saying this was just him. Like this,
Yeah.
it wasn't the brothers that turned him bad. He's a bad person even back then that he would do that to his brothers. Is
Yeah.
what they were trying to highlight as
Mhm.
storytellers. Um, so yeah, so I don't want to create a straw man. I
Right.
haven't heard anyone think that he is a good person.
Yeah, yeah, that okay, that's fair. Yeah, poor choice of words on my part. But it's this is just such a good show. Like the entire time I'm like cheering for Sophia Falcone to be like, yeah, yeah, but obviously it can't happen, can't win because it is titled The Penguin, and like the risky moves that this show did make was killing off Salvatore Maroni and all that kind of stuff. And you know it was risky, but it's just the idea of like, yep, this penguin needs to live on because this I can't wait to see what actually happens
The
in the
Maroney stuff was
Batman
great.
movies. Yeah.
I loved how Maroney at one point was like, "So I lose my family and I get nothing." I was like, "Yeah, man, sucks." It's because they're all bad guys. But I was like, "Yeah, it sucks. I hope you get revenge for your like your wife and kid." But
Mhm.
like, also you're a terrible person, so I don't feel that bad.
Yeah.
But I think that was um, credit to the detail and care they gave the characters in the
Mhm.
show.
Mhm.
That you would be like, you would root for Sophia or feel for the Maroney family as they get picked off.
Mhm. Mhm. Absolutely. Um, the whole Julian Rush thing was
Oh,
super
that
awkward.
yeah. I don't. I think what holds me back from loving this, I'm assuming as much as you,
Mhm.
is that we're in an established universe of Batman.
Mhm.
So it feels like the lengths they went to not, and I don't mean having the character Batman on screen, but like just anyone else gets a double edged sword for me, because once they're like, no, don't forget Sophia has a sister named Selena Kyle, I was like, yay, like she's like, and she deserves to have some family, good for her. But like it also meant like, so like, sure, everyone has brought up Batman's probably recuperating right now after being shot, but like,
Mhm.
like Gordon's not doing anything right now. Like we're not. I know there's the one cop from the movie with the weird voice, but he seems to be dismissed pretty quickly.
Right.
It just feels like a lot is going on in this show
Mhm.
for it to not affect the other players in this universe. Like
Mhm.
it'd be one thing if they were only ever doing the drug stuff, but like fucking like city blocks blow up.
Yep.
It's just a lot of attention would be drawn for me to believe like that you wouldn't want to incorporate some of this. And yeah, I understand it's called the Penguin, but it is the Penguin in a world where there's like 30 other people like the Penguin at any given time,
Mhm.
in addition to famous cops we know from there. If you don't want to bring in Batman,
Mhm.
and we already know Selena left, so there's not going to be Catwoman dealing with it. But it is just one of those things where I'm like, and it's what is an issue when I talk about like the Matt Reeves Batmobile, and I know people love it, but I was like, it's a little too like, yeah, we're just doing The Sopranos. Like it doesn't feel, and that's good because that's a great show, but it is like we could afford to have some other people show up. And again, this isn't me being like it would have been better if Batman was there. I'm aware that they're not putting Batman on a TV screen anytime soon. That was not like, I know people said he was on set or whatever, but that wasn't like a expectation I had. It was more just like, how are we going to incorporate this into that was a 3-hour movie, so we got a lot of time with different characters. How are we going to incorporate that seamlessly and not have it feel like it just lives on TV and then we go back to the movie and we're like, yeah, okay, because you killed off the Maronis who weren't in the movie, so that's done. They can't be in the movies moving forward. It's a bit too closed off in that way for me.
Because the reason why I bring up the Julian Rush thing is that it felt
The Scarecrow
weird
thing, yeah.
because they like originally you could see the plan of it to try to get him to be the Scarecrow, but then they just U-turned on that real quick, and I'm just like, what? Why not make him the Scarecrow in this if this is his origin story or whatever it might be? It's perfectly set up that way. I don't know why they were like, and maybe it's just because, yeah, maybe we just don't like Theo Rossi.
I mean, that I don't know. That's a weird thing because I can't imagine they were like, we have to offer this to Theo Rossi. I'm assuming we auditioned, or they went, we like Theo Rossi, we're gonna get him in here and see how he does with some chemistry reads and stuff. So it's a little late in the game to realize, oh fuck, we don't want to do this.
Yeah, we can't get him to Scarecrow.
I think
we have
I guess I rambled for a long time without landing on him not being Scarecrow is fine for the show that they made, but then it's like, why? It's HBO. Like, they could have just been like, hey, we have a Colin Farrell show. Like, they would have probably greenlit that if it was Colin Farrell.
Yeah, probably.
So yeah, that doesn't mean that I think the show sucks. It's just, I am all for these things expanding and deepening what we've already seen in the movies, and it expands the Oz Cobble, well, I guess he's not Cobblepot, the Oz Cobb character, but like it doesn't feel like it was connecting with the movie world that we saw outside of like, oh yeah, there's Bella Real.
Yeah,
he's eyeing her. So like, is part 2 going to be him trying to be mayor, and how much of that really, as in part 2 of movie, and how much screen time does that actually require or need for it to feel necessary?
Yeah, because Colin Farrell has said like, yeah, he's or people have talked about him being signed on for Batman 2 and 3. So it's just like, okay, will there be a Penguin season 2? I kind of don't know if it's necessary, the depth that they went through here, and that's kind of why I'm on the Julian Rush thing, because I'm like, okay, if Scarecrow was there and that was a season and you had Penguin in it, then problem solved, right? That would make so much sense. But no, they were just like, no, we're not going to turn him into Scarecrow. I'm like, why the hell not?
Yeah, I mean, they could be like, oh yeah, he is. But I know some people said they saw the mask and the glove or whatever. But like, I didn't, but I wasn't really paying attention that way, so I didn't.
Yeah, some people did say they saw it, and then when asked about it, they were just like, "Oh yeah, we forgot to take that out. We forgot to scrub that out." And I was like, "Oh man, see that just confirms that it was supposed to be the Scarecrow kind of thing, but they just like hard no at the end of it." Which I'm just like, it feels like this show, as great as it is, bent over backwards to try to be like, yeah, we need to self-contain this as much as possible. We need to leave those big reveals for Batman in the actual movies.
I don't know, like, are they going to do Sophia stuff in Batman too. Like I don't it's all these things where it's like it feels relegated to here, which is
Hmm.
fine, but it's a long period of time. Like what is it, 8 episodes, 9 episodes? Probably
I
eight.
think so. Yeah.
It's like almost 8 hours of storytelling that's kind of like not going to be continued, and
Hmm.
that's fine. Things are good because they end, but it's such a connected thing. Like this wasn't a new character. It wasn't like the Victor show that
Hmm.
had Penguin looming over it, so that you could be like, ah, yeah, you know what? Like Victor was a character we made for this show.
Hmm.
Um, it's the Penguin show, and we know he's going to show up in movies. So I guess yeah, it's just more like It feels like we've hit the ceiling of how interesting he can get in terms of knowing what makes him tick.
Yep.
And sure, they could do the storyline where he becomes mayor.
It feels
Uh,
like that's what is most likely going to happen based on what Matt Reeves has said about Batman 2 being like, oh, it really goes into the corruption of Gotham even more. Um, so I'm just like, okay, well then I guess we are setting up Penguin to be the
I'll
mayor.
trust him, but
Sure.
I'm like, what movie since the Nolan movies hasn't gone into that?
It's true. It's very, very
Like,
true.
oh, are we really gonna get into the corruption of Gotham? And I'm including his movie in that. That was 3 hours of this place is fucking corrupt.
Yeah, yeah, and I remember because I watched that on the plane as well. I'm like, yep, they did a good job showing us how corrupt this place is.
Yeah, like you actually gonna get more like corrupt? We've seen the ceiling of how corrupt this can be. I feel
Yeah, and it's
in
just
this show,
weird.
if not that movie, in this show, it's like yeah, these guys are making deals with a known criminal who's
Mhm.
being like, no, it wasn't me, it was Sophia. Don't worry about it. I'm killing people, and you'll just pick up the bodies and sort it out. I don't know, like what else we're supposed to. I mean,
How
outside of if he's talking about Court of Owls, which to me is a different thing.
well, I mean, maybe, possibly, it could be Court of Owls, but like either way, it's just like, okay, yeah, it's gonna get a lot darker before it gets better, I guess. But sure,
Yeah.
whatever.
Uh, what else is going on in the show? Yeah, there's just the Doctor Rush thing.
Hmm.
I guess I thought they were making up that red light stuff he was doing on the mum, but apparently that's a very real um, therapy
Is
thing.
it really?
It's very real, yeah.
Oh,
And
okay. I thought they were making it
so
up.
I was following the House of R podcast, and they had a similar reaction to me, which was like, oh yeah, like that's I guess that's a cool thing to do. And then during the next episode when they showed you the full extent of what he was doing, people were like, yeah, we were going to tell you last week, like this isn't made up, like that's just how it works, and it's not to bring up suppressed memories. It is just the memories are there, and you're just creating an environment for them
Hmm.
to it's yeah. So again, it's not like a subconscious thing. It really is just like we're creating the right environment for you to talk through the things that are already top of mind for you.
Right.
Um,
Which is great for the amount of research, but I'm just
yeah,
like, it
this
would have
was
been
I
cool.
thought that was interesting, but I did feel like I guess because I like uh, Luke Cage and I enjoyed most of Sons of Anarchy, I was like, what's Theo Rossi? They're gonna do something with him, right? And even if he's not, even if he's not Scarecrow, they kind of just were like, nah, he's just a doctor.
Yeah.
Even at the end where it was just like, yeah, here you go, here's a letter. I was like, so is he gonna do anything interesting at any point? Like
Nope.
I know he said it when like there's a sexual nature to this, and he's like, oh, I just want to serve you, but I was like, so can we see something more? I don't know. It just feels like a waste of Theo Rossi.
It definitely is a waste of Theo Rossi. And I'm just like, oh man, if if he auditioned with the intention of like, oh man, I'm gonna be the Scarecrow, he must be so pissed to be like, oh man, this is what they have to do to me on screen, and then like freaking I'm not Scarecrow. Like, what's God damn it? Like,
Yeah, I don't. I mean, yeah,
he needs a new agent.
that's the downfall of being an actor and just an actor, right? Like you don't have the control after a certain point.
Yeah.
You come up, you give your best performance, and then a lot gets lost in the edit, or
Hmm.
just full on decision makers who aren't you being like, no, this doesn't serve the story. So yeah, it just felt like a waste. But I hope that they do stuff with him later. I just don't know like what's gonna happen with this show. Like I assume because of the critical response, they'll do more.
Yeah, but I don't know if it's more about just the Penguin. Because like you said, it's probably hit the ceiling on where we can go for to explore this character, or if it's just like another season of Sophia, the Sophia show, and all that kind of stuff.
I think it
Um,
makes sense to just do a different villain each
yeah,
time and have them get this same kind of treatment.
I agree.
Um, but I can see executives not thinking that way and being like, do the Penguin again,
Yeah.
do that again. And I know that Matt Reeves announced like, oh yeah, we're doing other villain TV shows, and so like I trust that he's gonna. I know he didn't write this show,
Mhm.
but producing wise, I'm sure he's gonna get the right team together to do justice to whichever villain they choose next.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think that's what held me back from being like, this is the best thing I've seen, which was just it's good, but it's like, yeah, we're doing The Sopranos with a Batman skin,
Yep.
and that's fine. But we could have done more and made it more unique.
Yeah, could have made it more Batman for sure. Um, yeah, the lack of the Scarecrow thing it bothers me. It really does.
Yeah, he's like, I don't know what you would do with him without it being Scarecrow, or like even if he was like a Professor Pig type character, just something
Or
where you're
like
like,
Hugo Strange or
yeah,
something
Hugo
like
Strange,
that.
some like
Yeah.
just somebody. And I know it sounds like I just want them to use names from the comics. It's just more have him be more of a presence in the story than
Yep.
just like, because I'm not denying like, yeah, he's the one that gets Frances to talk about how she feels about Oz.
Hmm.
But even like, I feel like, did they ever explicitly say he's the one that got them the bliss stuff, or it was just something she learned in Arkham?
Uh,
I thought they were somewhat connecting to him, but since the bliss thing gets taken out of commission within 2 episodes, it's like that doesn't really matter either, I guess.
right. Yeah.
So it just felt like, yeah, like they were kneecapping him wherever possible in terms of being a threat or like any type of presence.
Hmm. And that's the frustration. Like I can definitely be like, yeah, they should have just dropped Batman character names in this. They should have just done that. That's why I'm complaining about it. It's just because I'm like, why even bother with building out that character and doing these kind of things? Because it just it, I could see a good pathway to that being like, and he's now Scarecrow, or like he's gonna put on a mask or something like that. It just doesn't have to be big to be like, oh, he's actually threatening all of Gotham. It's just like, no, he's got a thing. And like that would have been interesting to explore and like build up. Cause like if we have like, okay, now we're doing the next season is gonna be Scarecrow, where it's like taking Scarecrow from here and building him up to the threat and then having him potentially take on Batman in like 3 or 2 or something like that, depending on what the time frame of these movies are or these shows, that would have made sense to me. But
Yeah.
I
And I
don't know.
think an interesting thing about Penguin, which you could argue he's doing here, so maybe this is a moot point, but like, I think what makes Penguin interesting in the comics mostly is, and other storyline, is that he sees himself as a gentleman, and so like
Hmm.
he's not the guy that would go to Arkham. He would go to Blackgate because he's like, well, I'm not criminally insane. I'm just a businessman. Like, oh yeah, I could be an arms dealer. I could be a club owner or whatever.
Hmm.
Um, it's these other guys who are crazy, which would be interesting to have. So then, when you do have like a Scarecrow or like a known, and Sophia is a villain in the comics as well, but like
Hmm.
if you have a more flamboyant villain, and it
Hmm.
would make sense to kind of introduce that idea with Scarecrow because he's not. It's not like he's there being like Two Face or the
Hmm.
Riddler. I mean, we already did the Riddler, and I didn't love it. But like, like, it's not someone using theatrics, or it is someone using theatrics, like this
Hmm.
a Scarecrow. You that it would be interesting to see him play off of that and be like,
Yeah.
oh my god, like yeah, like I'm not like that. That's not my thing. Or like trying to control that somehow. Um, it just stayed within the mobster stuff, which is fine for a first season. But if they're not going any further, that's what I kind of mean by it just feels kind of boxed off.
Hmm. Yeah. No, I agree with that. I agree with that. I, there's, like I said, it feels like it's bending over backwards, trying to stay to this season as much as possible, not recognizing that it is connected to something bigger and that it has every ability to plant seeds to more things like the
Mm-hmm.
scarecrow stuff, like whatever. And it kind of does, but only toward the end, right? Where it's like, okay, Sophia's got a letter from Selena. Sophia's got a letter from Selena
Mm-hmm.
Kyle, and it's like, hey, we're half sisters and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, okay, that's kind of cool. But why only do it towards the end when it just could have been the entire time of like, okay, Julian Rush is actually putting on the mask in order to get Francis to do that kind of thing,
Mm-hmm.
and because he's at that point he's like, maybe I need to protect my identity
Or
because
he is Hugo Strange, like
yeah.
some like a character I don't think they've done on the big screen yet, so it would have been something new.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I just think that he could have been better. I know we've kind of beat that into the ground, but
Hmm.
I did like, that's what I said about Double Edged Sword. I like that they left the Selena thing of confirmation because it did feel like Sophia took this big blow, and that's her one silver lining is that she has someone who maybe she doesn't know that. Maybe that is what's in the letter, but she
Hmm.
doesn't know it. But she has someone now that's like, oh, I know you're not the hangman. I know what our
Hmm.
dad did.
Hmm.
Um, so she can have, like you said, like even if you know the truth, it's better to hear someone say it. She's
Hmm.
not gonna get her dad to say it because her dad's dead, but like to have a sister be like, because even her cousin didn't support her, so
Hmm.
it was like it would be nice to have a sister that's like, oh no, like I know what this family is. You're not, you're not out of bounds for how you feel about the family, but I'm
Hmm.
telling you, yeah, you're right to feel the way you do because
Yeah.
they treated me poorly too.
Yeah, yeah. What was the whole reason why what's his face wasn't brought back as what's his face?
Oh,
Why
he said
Mark Strong?
he didn't like the violence against women,
Oh,
which is
okay.
like maybe you watched the movie and were like, oh, I guess I'm choking out my daughter in this scene, and maybe I don't want to do that. But like,
Yeah.
I mean, the damage is already done, my friend.
Yeah.
You are already on screen being very violent to women.
Yep. Yep.
And
And
I don't want to take away the idea that he could have been like, yeah, I don't like that. I did it, and it's not something I want to revisit.
gotcha. No, I just wanted to know the thing because to be perfectly honest, like Mark Strong being in that role, kind of enjoyed it. Kind of liked
I
it.
wish they kept it. I didn't.
I
I mean,
I did
I know
too.
they didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
Why am I forgetting this guy? John Turturro didn't want to come back,
Right.
but it is like,
Because I just keep wanting to say the Jesus from Lebowski, but
yeah.
obviously
But
that's
like
not right.
again, like Mark Strong, even more so than Theo Rossi, is someone that I would want to have more to
Yes.
do in a story like this than be in
Hmm.
flashbacks. So like, I wasn't that thrilled with him. I'm like, oh, that's how we're gonna get him in this universe. Blech.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I
I
was
just
okay
wish he
with
was
it because I
anyone.
do like Mark Strong, but like you raise a good point of like, oh man, we wasted Mark Strong.
Hmm. Yeah, it just felt like another wasted thing for me.
Yeah.
If he was willing to like do another superhero thing, it's like, oh, it's this is it. Oh no.
Yeah, because he only seems to be doing like not so great stuff. Like
Oh, he's in
friggin'
Tar. He's in great stuff. I'm just saying, like,
no, I mean for the superhero side of things, to be like Shazam
oh,
villain and all that kind of stuff. It's just like, oh man,
I
maybe
like
he
Kick
needs a
Ass
better
and
Kick-Ass was good. You're
I like
absolutely
Kick
right
Ass.
about
I
that.
like him in the Kingsman movies.
Hmm. I keep forgetting
More
those
just
horror comic movies. I
yeah.
keep
I
forgetting, yeah.
guess you did say superhero, but yeah, like Kick Ass is a superhero movie. I mean,
Yes.
yeah, not great in Green Lantern.
No. No, he
No
was
one
not.
is.
No
No,
one
no,
was.
no one came out of that
Yeah.
doing well. But yeah, I just if it seems like a place he likes to be. So it
Sure.
was a bummer that it was like, oh, this is how we're gonna get him in
Right.
this. I guess that still leaves him open to DCU stuff, since this is technically a different universe than
It's true. It's
DCU.
true.
But
Yeah.
it just in the moment I was like, oh, this is not how I would want to see Mark Strong.
Yeah. That's fair. That's very, very fair.
Yeah, like even if he played the guy that Oz looked up to as a kid, that would have been better. Even though it's like relegated to it's like that's such an important character,
Mm-hmm.
and he's not like redoing someone else's role.
Right. Yeah. Fair enough.
Anything
I will
else
say there is one thing I want to say.
Mm-hmm.
When Sophia decides to blow up the whole facility and all that kind of stuff with the car and the moment he's on the phone with her and the driver bolts down the thing, how does he not realize that he's being set up with a bomb? Like that to me was so dumb.
I think it's important for him I think he thinks it's important to verify if it's his mom in there. I think that his character tells me it's important for him. I don't think it's important that he does it. I think he thinks it's important that he's like, this could be a trap, but it doesn't matter. Is that my mom in there?
Hmm.
I think that's what is going on there.
Yeah, because
she knows that.
Yeah, because the whole like the driver's running away and he's still on the phone. I'm like, you still really haven't figured this out, and you're not running towards the car fast enough to determine whether or not, because he just leaves the door open, the driver. So I'm like, you could have just ran up to the car and been like, "Hey, is my mom there?" And then if not, then it's just like, "Oh, this is a bomb." Which that to me was a big glaring hole in the whole like thing. Is just like, how is he that dumb in this kind of situation?
I don't see it that way. I don't think he's not someone who trusts anyone, so I don't think it would make sense for him to be like, "Hey, is my mom in there?" I think it's important to him
True.
to go and verify for himself. He thinks he has to do everything on his own,
Right?
And we already know that he doesn't respect his mother, but it is a possession of his, and so he is going to check on his possession.
That's fair. He does not respect her. He uses her.
Yeah, and I think that's, you just see this element of him having these empty moments. Like it is an empty gesture to be like, "Oh, is she in there?" Because I think he already knows it's a bomb. So like, what does it matter? Like, but it's this empty thing. Especially like, oh, when he's fighting Maroni and Maroni dies, but he has to beat him up and be like, "See, I beat you. I beat you." And it's like, well, he's already dead, and you didn't really do that. Like, there's these moments where you see how like small and empty his gestures are,
right?
And I think that's one of them. Is just like the
that makes sense.
What's going on in here?
That makes more sense because
I don't think it's a whole, or like I think that's more character reveal.
I think you're okay. That makes much more sense to me because you're absolutely right. Because like when he like shoots and beats up Sal after he's already dead, it's just like, oh yeah, this is you needing to actually inflate your own
Maroni
ego
had a
at
heart
this point in
attack,
time.
so like it's done. It's done already.
He just outlived him, and that's fine. But it's like these are things that he needs for the sake of his own mind and his own ego.
He needs the
to be
optics to be a certain way.
Exactly right.
And that's part of it. That's why I'm saying
fair.
I don't think it's important for him to do it. I think he thinks it's important that he goes through the motions of, is my mom in there?
That makes much more sense. That makes much more sense to me. Because when I saw that, I'm like, you can't be that dumb. You've done all this. You can't be that dumb. But now what you're saying makes complete sense. This, awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, I really liked those three main characters as I saw it: Victor, Sophia, and Oz. I thought that was really well done.
Fantastic lineup.
Yeah, tough break for Victor.
Pissed that I don't get to see Victor anymore because he did such a good job. It is a testament to the character that they've written. I get that, but I mean, like, I hope to see more of Renzi Filas. I know I'm not pronouncing that right, but I think he's a great actor. I think he did some great things here. I hope he goes on to do more things.
He was in The Runaways. You can watch The Runaways.
Nice.
He's the lead of that.
Nice.
He's also in Encanto, so you can't see him, but you can hear him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Not really what's gonna enter my watch right now. Oh, he's in World. Oh, that's a video game.
yeah, I think you'd like. I saw the first 2 seasons of Runaways; those were good.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think yeah, he did a really good job. I really appreciated that idea of like you think it's going a certain way with uh Oz
Mhm.
seeing something in him, but it's really what we see later in the show, which is, oh, this guy needs a father figure. Perfect. Let's
Yeah.
do that.
We're just gonna prey
And
on the
early
weak.
on, he is just controlling him with money, like he does with Eve. Like, oh yeah, here you go. Here's money for this. Here's money
Mhm.
for that. Like, um, so yeah, it is well done in that sense. If you're
Mhm.
looking for a nice deep dive into this version of the Penguin psyche, then you can't do much better than this.
Yeah, this is absolutely phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. It's really, really well done as a character exploration thing, but as a world building, like, hey, here's what we're gonna do with the Batman universe. It cripples itself. It just does. It just does. I'm like, no, just make him the freaking Scarecrow. There's no need
Fair
to
enough.
not do this. Or Strange or something like that. Just give us something.
Yeah.
Man, but
Um, do you want to rate it?
yep.
All
I'm
right,
go
I'll give it an 8.5.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I'm right there with you. If they made him Scarecrow, it would have been a 9 for me, but 8.5. This is just such a well done character thing, but being a character thing in a greater universe is just not okay to me. It's
Yeah,
give me
it's hard.
more. Yeah.
It's hard. This just comes down to my very specific tastes. I can see how this could be like a perfect 10 out of 10 for people. I wouldn't
Mhm.
ever begrudge them that. It's a really well told character piece.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for listening, everybody. We're on TikTok, Instagram, and TikTok. It's at TDF Spoiled on all of those platforms.
Mhm.
We're on all the podcast platforms, so you can rate, review, subscribe, follow, share with your friends as you wish. And we are spoiledpodcast@gmail.com if you want to email us. So yeah, oh yeah, also go to tdfeverything.com/spoiledrotten if you want to hear older episodes or get a clean take of all the different places you can find us, so you're
Mhm.
not confused by what I just said. Uh, all right, we'll be back. Bye bye.
Cheers.
This has been a TDF Everything production, brah.